Okay, ready for recording. We've got our lights up there. We got a garbage truck. We got our garbage can. We got our tool brick. Got an elephant back there and a tropical tree. And the camera is already recording. Oh snap! All right. Greetings, my fellow mushy blobs of earth dirt. My name's Hans. Always watering these plants, hoarding all the teal bricks, and berserk for Legos. Today I want to show you guys my futuristic Lego garbage truck MOC with its operational side loader. So put on your fuzzy socks and let me show you how I recycled this, redesigned this truck. Yeah, onwards to the origin story. And if you may have noticed, my Sigfig got a new hairpiece. Yeah, and actually I had this hairpiece before I even started my YouTube channel. This was my pre-quarantine hairpiece, but when the pandemic hit and we were all stuck at home, too afraid to go to the barbershop, I didn't have my hair cut for a while, and that's why I started using the Rex Danger Vest hairpiece, which I still really like. But those days of long shaggy hair are a bit over, and I've been getting myself a haircut, and I'm back to my original hairstyle. Actually, I couldn't find this hairpiece for quite a while, so couldn't figure out where I put it. So yeah, you'll now be seeing my Sigfig with the proper hairdo that fully represents my hair in real life. So get used to it. Welcome to my garbage truck 2.0, the upgraded version. So almost a year ago, I released a video on this garbage truck with its working side loader. Definitely go check out that video. It really talks about the background information and how I came up with a lot of the design elements. One of them being that I got the idea for the working mechanism from the Lego Ideas garbage truck. Brilliant mechanism, and props to those guys. But I've done a major overhaul to this whole design. Major overhaul, a lot of improvements. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is the 2.0 version of this garbage truck. So a couple of details that I'll carry over from that original video is that all my cars and MOCs, most of them I'm building them for my Lego city, which is a tropical city set in the future in the year 2060. So there's going to be a lot of futuristic tech, and this garbage truck is no exception. It's an electric garbage truck, completely electric, very quiet, and it's also got autonomous driving. It works in autonomous mode. The side loader is run by a robot that basically senses and knows where the garbage cans are and completely operates the side loading grabber mechanism by itself without the garbage truck man having to do anything. Garbage truck man just kind of helps supervise, and if garbage falls out of the garbage can, then he can just jump out and kind of help out in that regards. The truck can drive all by itself. It can drive up to garbage cans and autonomously and do all that stuff. It's only in very tricky, unusual situations that the autonomy mode doesn't do very well, and then the garbage truck man is there to assist or take over. But for the most part, this is 40 years into the future, it's 95% automated. Alright, so what inspired this upgrade? Well, over the summertime, I had presented my 7-wide airport fire truck, the bright green one, and then I also presented my 7-wide city bus, as well as my 7-stud wide double-decker bus, as well as my 7-stud wide school bus. And just recently, I was looking at the cab of this truck, and it looked a little narrow compared to the back of the truck. I thought, you know what? Why don't I try and see what it looks like with a 7-stud wide? And I did, and I loved the outcome. I did a lot of improvements. And then I went kind of crazy because now I made a 7-wide dump truck, I made a 7-wide cement mixer, and I overhauled one of the regular city fire trucks that I have as a 7-wide. So you're going to see a lot more in the future of my 7-wide industrial trucks builds. And I think they're looking really great. This one's looking fantastic. Alright, and in this 2.0 upgraded version, I did a major overhaul on pretty much a lot of the stuff actually. Just because I had to go 7-wide, then the bottom chassis also had to be majorly upgraded. And one of the first things I did is to try out this Speed Champion wheel fender piece. And if you were to see my original video, the grabber mechanism actually comes really close to swiping this front tire. So when I included this, that means I needed to give it a little extra room. So actually this mechanism scooched over by about half a brick's length. And there were also some minor changes to the grabber mechanism as well. And the other major change that I did was to make this a full glass window. Before, it was a glass window only up to here, and that was because I was imitating the original garbage truck set. And it was also because I wanted to keep the bright green panel that had the recycle logo on it. But this time I decided to just do away with that and just make this a full glass window. And I'm really liking that full glass window look, that completely wrap around. And it just gives the garbage truck guys much better visibility. So yeah. So here you can see the full 7-wide appearance, and I'm now able to embed the autonomous driving sensor into the front a little bit better. It just looks more spaced out, looks a little bit better. Alright, and another fun thing that I've been doing with a lot of my builds and as well as my vehicles is using the blacklight on trans neon colors, so right there, and the headlights. So for headlights, I've been using the trans neon color for the headlights instead of the plain transparent yellow colors. And believe it or not, for a very brief time in 97 and 98, LEGO was using these trans neon yellow elements for headlights on vehicles. And at the time, I really liked it. I thought it made headlights look much more lit up than just the regular trans yellow. And then I was kind of disappointed when they stopped doing that. But I'm bringing it back. Oh yeah. So I've been having a ton of fun with this UV blacklight, and you're gonna start seeing a lot more of this in my builds. Although I can't use it too much because they'll start turning the white bricks to that yellowish color. Not cool. Now, usually when you increase the size of a vehicle, you know, say like from 6 studs to 7 studs, it kind of scales things up a bit. But in this case, the truck didn't get any longer. The cab may have gotten 1 plate taller, but that's about it. The back end didn't increase in size or anything. So by going 7 studs wide, you don't really scale up in the height all that much. You do maybe like 1 plate or 2, and you don't really need to scale in the length of it. Also in my original design, there was a white bar that came across and made this bottom window look segregated, but I got rid of that white line and it just looked like one complete glass door right there. And of course, the window, because we only have 6 stud wide windows, I've got it centered on jumper plates. And of course, there's just that little bit of a ridge right there. I think I proved in my 7 stud wide buses that it's acceptable and it's not perfect. I'd rather have a 7 stud wide windshield, of course, but we don't have that. But this doesn't look terrible. It's illusioned enough to deceive your eyes that it doesn't jump out as ugly. The other thing with the original design, I had this as the roof part of the cab, but then I had another slope going up over here, and then there was another slope going up over here, and then there was another slope going up over there. And so it had like these 4 different layers of gradual slopes, you know, to deflect the wind. And this time around, I decided to try this crazy, interesting technique of trying to put an angle on it, try to seamlessly streamline the whole top of the truck without all these different slope layers. Yeah. So I'm really liking how this came out a lot. And it just pops off like that. And I've got a hinge brick in there, and it's using a couple of jumper plates, and it just kind of snaps on right there. And then this part right here is actually kind of holding on to the top edge of the windshield. And then the other cool thing is I kind of added like this little skylight or sunroof up at the very top. It's not very functional, I guess it just kind of lets light into the cab, but makes the cab kind of feel open and lit up from the natural sunlight. So here you can see the inside of the truck, and it can now fit 2 people. I wasn't able to get a regular Lego chair in there, and that's because of this wheel fender piece. This is one of my big complaints about these wheel fender pieces, is they got too much chunkiness to them, and I feel like a lot of it is not necessary. It kind of restricts in a lot of my car builds. So I just use those little teal and bright green pieces back there to make Lego seats. And then instead of the big computer screen like I'm putting in all my other vehicles, I'm just using the little cell phone piece right there. All the little apps make it look like they're functions for the garbage truck. And he can also listen to the radio on his Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. The other thing I did was I utilized these 2x2 inverted bow slopes right there to improve the look of the truck. I added this little neon green light, and that light is just for the charging indicator to show how fully charged the electric battery is. On this side, it's pretty much the same, except that I've got this bright green stripe down here on the bottom. I couldn't do it for this knob right there, so it does look a little bit awkward. Yeah, for the most part, it's pretty much the same. And of course, this is the massive electric batteries that run the whole truck. Using these cheese wedge slopes is new to this design. And again, I really like how I was able to pull off this slope design right there. Now, a lot of these design changes I did just recently when I went to the 7 wide conversion, but one thing that I did a while back ago, but after my last video, was to change these from the lime green to the bright green. And that was based on a suggestion that was in the comments at the time. I also ended up changing the color on this back tailgate a bit better, and then at the time, this was sitting about 1 plate taller, which then meant that I couldn't use this piece due to the hinging mechanism. But then after that video, I kind of decided to just lower this by 1 plate so that I could just have a streamlined use of these roof plates. Now, one thing that I did differently here was I took out a layer of plates, lower this down so I actually have an extra plate's worth of room in there. So the other amazing thing is that by going 7 studs wide, I was able to incorporate this grabber mechanism into the side of the truck. In my previous version, if you go look at that video, this actually protruded out from the side of the truck by 1 stud. It was attached to the side of the truck using some Technic beam elements, but now it's fully integrated, so this whole thing is tucked in much better. So another thing I did was I moved these pair of wheels right here half a stud closer to the last pair. And then going with 7 studs wide, because the grabber mechanism shifted into the truck, I had to make room in the chassis, kind of cut it out so that it had room to store away. And I really like how it just fits perfectly with this 2x2 with the 45-degree cutoff right in there. Look at that, it just fits perfect. Totally awesome. So as I demonstrated in my very first video about a year ago, this is an asymmetric side grabber arm that basically swoops around the side of the garbage truck and picks it up. It does require the garbage cans to be fairly close, right about there. If you're too far away, it doesn't really work. And I really like that this mechanism can pretty much pick up any tall rectangular or cylindrical shape. The other thing I did was I used this angle bracket to act as a stop to prevent the grabber arm from going too high up. If the grabber arm goes too high up, then its center of mass ends up being too far over, and then it'll end up releasing the garbage can while it's still up in the air. And to know more about that, I actually go into length as to why that happens. This has all been redesigned and restructured. So the hopper mechanism still operates the same way. Just push up on that and the gate closes so that when they dump it out. I did change a little bit of the design in there, and then I've got this little knob right here so that when this is fully closed, you can still grab it and pull it open again. Yeah. Now, one major flaw with this is that this little stack right here of 1x1 bricks and plates will get pushed out of alignment, and then when I go to close this right here, this will get jammed up on this little plate right there, like so. But I am really loving how this 7 wide stud improvement turned out, and it also made this fit in nicer with the whole truck instead of kind of sticking out, and it just looks a lot more proper to me. Previously, this container was still exactly the same as you see it now, and then this was at 6 studs wide, so it kind of had this like a little bit skinny, and then it flared out for this, which isn't terrible. It's not out of the norms. This 7 studs wide, where it's all pretty well matched, and the width all the way from front to back just looks a lot better to me. Like I've said in a couple of my previous videos, I have a very particular scale that I have for my Lego vehicles, and 7 studs wide is reserved for very large industrial vehicles, big rigs and diesel trucks, but I also reserve 6 studs wide for the slightly more compact industrial trucks. So I'll still be using 6 stud wide industrial trucks in some of my designs, but they'll just be classified as the more compact type cabs. Let me know what you guys think compared to 1.0 versus 2.0. I'm super stoked with it. I like the all glass wraparound. I like having this new fender here. I really like how this came out. This took me a good few minutes to figure out how to put that all together. I like how the cab is much more spacious, and I really like how the grabber mechanism is now flush with the side of the truck. So I've already kind of gone berserk on making a few other trucks to be 7 studs wide. I've got a dump truck now that's 7 studs wide. I went ahead and did it to the cement mixer, 7 studs wide. Currently working on a garbage truck as well as a rotator wrecker that are 7 studs wide. And I still got ideas for making more industrial trucks to be 7 studs wide. One vehicle that I did 7 studs wide about 2 years ago, about the same time that I did the airport fire truck to be 7 studs wide, was one of the Jungle Explorer trucks with the science lab on the back of it. I made that 7 studs wide. I should probably do a video on that. The airport fire truck and the Jungle Explorer and the buses were some of my original 7 stud wide builds. That was kind of like the first time I went 7 studs wide. Oh yeah, and then the camping trailer, which I showed that in one of my earlier videos. I made that 7 studs wide too. So it all fits within my scale of things. And I talk about my protocols of scale in my tram bus video. So if you want to know more about that, go and check out that video out. I give a lot of examples of all the different types of vehicles and what scale they should be that fit within the minifigure scale of things. So there you have it, guys. This is the Paradisa City Garbage Truck 2.0. the upgrade version, 7 studs wide. What do you guys think? So I look forward to what you guys have to say in the comments. Do you guys like the 7 stud wide improvement? Alright, I'll let you guys get back to the rest of your day. Go take out your trash. Don't let it get moldy. I definitely encourage you to recycle as much as you can. Do some composting. Yeah, and on that note, I'll check y'all later.